Hello everyone, my name is Oxana and welcome back to a new season and a brand new episode of the Open College podcast series. So on this episode I have with me a lovely lady. She's a gem of a human. Her name is Louise O'Gorman, and at the moment she is an employee of the Open College. But before this she was actually a student here at TOC for I would say maybe 5 to 6 odd years. So she studied healthcare support assistant here. She then went on to do a degree in health and social care, and she did train the trainer. So Louise, I would say, has probably done it all at this stage. She's done it all online, and she liked it so much she decided to even work at the college as well. Again, all online. So for this episode, Louise talks about the ups and downs of working, studying, and being a mum with familial responsibilities, which majority of us, or many of us I would say, definitely know that there is challenges and there is definitely rewards when it comes to going back to college, juggling, everything else. So have a listen, let me know what you think. Enjoy.
When I consider this, I think it's funny, the word student, it still doesn't sit with me very well, probably because I'm a mature student. So I used to tell people, oh, I'm the oldest student in the world kind of thing when I was doing my degree or doing any of the QQI courses I did with the Open College. But so the start of my degree with the Open College started during COVID, actually. So with the lockdowns, I had so much more time. There was no having to share my time with dropping kids to activities and doing school lunches and homework and things like that. So although I know it was a horrendous and trying time for the world, it actually gave me time to actually focus and get a really good start on my degree. So anyway, we got into the routine, and my youngest used to sit with me at my desk, and I would be doing my degree work and she'd be doing her little homework, and then the older two would be in their rooms. And it kind of became like a little routine. We'd be all chatting at the end of the day, doing all our work and whatever. So it became very much a new normality for us, I suppose. So after that, then anyway, year one, it went by in a blip. I was like, this is brilliant. This is so easy. I can do this, no problem. And then the world started to wake up again. And I was like, okay, here we go. I really started to feel the pressure. So now I was at the point where I had to pile more things. So I was building blocks again, basically, of balancing being a mum, being a student, working, and everything else that goes on top of it. So, so I had to realise that compromises had to be made with regards. The house didn't always have to be clean. Things didn't always have to be done perfectly.
Yeah.
So actually just after the COVID, then I returned to work. So that was another ball in the air that I had to juggle, but I had to pay for the degree. So, it had to be done. It was part of it, So when normality kicked in, basically being a student, being a mum, being working, my life went from 5 miles per hour to 100 all of a sudden. So for me, it was a case of, right, hold on tight, Louise, this is going to get very heavy. And it did. It did get and it felt very heavy at times. It felt like a lot to handle. There were days when there was tears and frustration. I found year two tough, because I suppose I had done so well in my first year because I had the time and the concentration to, really give it my all. So I had built up these high expectations that I could still do everything else and achieve really high grades at the same time. So put the pressure on myself. Nobody else was. It was me putting it on myself. So but look, as I found the college was great support for me, I have to say, when I was feeling a bit overwhelmed, I could easily be talked down. And it was great that you could just pick up the phone or pop an email or, things like that. So that really did help me. So then year three kicked in and, life was even getting busier then. Like it was like things just kept speeding up. And the kids are getting older, and you think when they get older, it's less busy. It's not, it's more busy. So don't let anyone tell you that, because they're telling lies. It gets busier and they do more activities and they want to do this and they want to do that. And that's great. You want them doing all of that, But and then it just seemed to kick in then. I just found my flow. And I think, would you believe, doing my dissertation actually gave me, I suppose, an air of calmness. I don't know why. I really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the way it was broken down and the the conversing back and forward with Joe and things like that, it really gave me, kind of a new boost of energy for some reason. And then I suppose I could see the finish line. So I knew if I got my dissertation done, I was done, So it really gave me a push to get over the finish line. So, I remember finishing that dissertation and submitting it. And honest to God, I think I just slipped off the chair. It was just relief,
Yeah.
You could just imagine that cartoon character just slipping off the chair.
Yeah.
But
But that's, the culmination of like 3 years to coming to an end, and it's like you finally like reached the goal. That's your finish line. And yeah, I can imagine the relief.
And it was such like college for me was a personal thing. It was never at the start a career thing. This is the thing. This is and when I tell people that, they're kind of looking at me, why would you go do a 3-year degree just for the crack, But it was a personal thing for me. I felt that I wanted to achieve. I suppose it was on my bucket list.
Yeah. But some people just aren't academic, and that's absolutely fine. And then there's some people who just have it in their head that they're like, I need this piece of paper. For a lot of people, having that piece of paper means nothing because that's just not where their career is, or it might not be necessary, or like I said, they're just not that way inclined, which is absolutely fine. But for other people, it's in their mind that it could be, I don't know, from pressures at home or you yourself. Or I know one of my friend's mums, she never finished a leaving cert, and she's an older woman now, she's in her 60s. So for her, going back to college is kind of proven to herself that like, well, I can do this. Just because I didn't finish my leaving cert way back when doesn't mean like it's not a stupidity thing, but like it's like she had that in her head to be like, oh, I'm not smart enough. And like that's just not the case, because sometimes for a lot of people it's circumstance, especially when they're in their 60s, way back when they had to support families maybe, or whatever it might be. Sorry, I'm just trying to make the point that I get it.
No, I get you. No, and absolutely. I wonder, is there a bit of I think myself, I kind of felt, is there a bit of stigma around not having that education? Because I know
it might be.
Yeah, because I know when I started, I was like, kids, you need to do a degree, you need to, and Peter kept saying, no, they don't. They can go other ways. So, and I think that way now, even though I've done mine, it's funny,
for the longest time, and it is, because for the longest time in Ireland, and like a third level education was so I remember even like when I was in school, for example, teachers were really motivating you to go into third level education. It was really like not enforced, but they were really promoting it. And now I find there's a bit of a regression now, because they're finding that yes, people are going into third level education, that's fantastic, but there's a shortage of all the jobs that are trades and I don't know, whatever.
I was only having that conversation today with a lady. Would you believe, like that, she'd be in her 60s and her husband is in construction, and my husband's in construction, and it's gas. We were only saying that all these people doing these degrees, which is fantastic, but there's no tradesmen available anymore. There's nobody doing any of the apprenticeships or things like that. And you're so right. It's all that focus on go to college, get your degree, you'll get 100 grand straight away, and all of this.
Not at all. Gee, like I went to college for lots of things, and that is not how it works. Let me tell you, you still start at the bottom, and you have to work your way up.
Absolutely. So, I mean, look at me. I'm a mature student coming back to work, and I'm starting at the bottom again. So you have to build it up.
Yeah. It is the way it is. There just needs to be a nice balance. And even, and like this is obviously not to put down any kind of further higher education, because I'm not saying that like everybody has to go into a trade. Still go do your third level if you want to. But I find also with trades, like my brother, for example, he's an electrician, but like he still had to do, so even though it was an apprenticeship, it was like half in college, half hands-on work. So you are still in college. It's just a different way that they have it set up. But anyway, you talk there about it being a balancing act, working, studying, being a mom, all this kind of stuff. So how did you manage your time, and how did you, I don't know, juggle those responsibilities? Because it's a lot.
Do you know what? To this day, I still say I don't know how I managed that. I actually, honestly, I even my husband would say, "How did you manage that?" And still have everything done, and everybody was happy, and no one else was affected. I may have been on my knees, but But I suppose I'm an extremely organized person. Right, I'm a very organized person. I like making lists, and I like ticking things off lists. I'm a very exciting person.
Look, preaching you to the choir here. I'm the
I
exact same.
understand. I know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, before I took on this degree, so I'd been studying with the Open College for 5 years overall now, because I did a lot of QQI courses and
Yeah.
that, and I always
Yeah.
like to learn and keep the brain busy, even though I was at home, with the kids. But before I signed up for the degree, I sat down with the kids and my husband, and I was like, right, lads, I really want to do this, but I can't do it alone. I need you all on board. So that was one
Mhm.
big thing that I had to organize. So we kind of set boundaries, we kind of created a solid schedule. And then the kids helped out then as well. They took on their own little duties. I know this sounds silly, but like cleaning bathrooms and things that,
Not at
you
all,
didn't
because you
have to
have to free
think
up the
about.
time. Yeah.
Exactly. And then walking the dogs and,
Mhm.
things like that, that I did get a bit of spare time to myself now and again, so this was
Mhm.
a great help. But I'm not going to tell you like it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. And to be honest with you, on a regular basis, I was like, no, I'm jacking. That's it. I'm giving it up. That's it. What am I doing? Crazy, crazy. But I suppose my determination won out in the end, and my stubbornness to finish it.
Yeah.
My husband was my biggest cheerleader. I have to say, he was constantly like, every time I would get a result on an assignment, I'd tell him, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant!" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah." And he'd be looking
Yeah.
at me going, well, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's grand. Yeah, that's just only one though. There's another 12 to go, or whatever." So, but
Yeah.
but he knew what it would mean for me on a personal level to achieve
Mhm.
this degree.
Yeah.
And I suppose another big thing as well, I suppose, of balancing everything. And, I suppose one of the reasons behind it is I'm the only college graduate in my family. So I'm the only one who's done my
Mhm.
leaving cert, my college graduate. So that was a big thing. That's a personal thing again for me,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah, no,
honest.
I totally get it. It's the same in my family.
Yeah.
I was the first university graduate, and
Mm.
like then I did like other courses afterwards. But me and you touched on slightly before, and I'm not going to get into a whole thing, but because I come
Yeah.
from an immigrant background, education
Yeah.
is a big part. So I think that kind of motivated me too.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Understandable as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You mentioned there as well about you were really motivated. Can you share some of your goals and what they were? I know you
Um,
said it was personal, but like if there's
No,
anything
no,
more
that's
to it, or was,
yeah,
that was
yeah,
just
no,
it.
no, no, there definitely is like so, returning to education, as I said, as a mature student was a personal goal and has been a very, very rewarding move for me. My whole life has changed, like to be honest
Hmm.
with you. And I think like and as I said earlier, my initial reason for doing the degree was never really for career focused. Again, as I said, I was still kind of in that way of thinking, sure, I have 3 kids. How could I have a career again? But sure, I'll do the degree for the crack. Uh,
Hmm.
and I know that sounds probably crazy, but when I began the degree, then I just started to get a better understanding of social problems and the
Hmm.
world around us,
Yeah.
and I suppose the big push for me as well, the big thing that motivated me was I lost my brother to addiction
Mm.
a few months before I signed up for the degree.
Yeah.
And it was something that I couldn't comprehend, I couldn't understand, something I struggled with to process and that. And I just felt by educating myself
Hmm.
on, relevant social problems and things like that would help. And it actually really, really did, because nearly one of the first modules we were doing, we were covering addiction. I was like, wow. So
Yeah.
it was, it really gave me a good understanding of that. So and I suppose that that drive to do something more with my life as well,
Hmm.
that life was for
Yeah.
living and for achieving and doing your best. So that was another reason. But I had college places when I was younger, but we weren't. My family weren't in the financial position for me to go to college,
Yeah.
so I didn't have that opportunity then. So I suppose, but I suppose my goal in the end was to complete a degree and see what happens. That was
Hmm.
it. That was generally at the start. That was it.
Yeah.
But little did I know the amazing experiences and people that I would meet and learn
Hmm.
from, and especially through the placements. that was amazing. Like I was able to dip into addiction and homelessness and intellectual disabilities and the older person, which was my favorite,
Yeah.
and then palliative care as well. Like to get all that experience was amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So it really, I loved every minute of it. I have to be
Hmm.
honest. I loved it. It was hard, but I loved it. And I think that was the difference. I think that was my motivation, really. When I think about it now, I loved what I was doing. And I think
Yeah.
that's very important. And I try and put that in my own kids, that if you're going to pick somewhere, if you are going to go to college, make sure you pick something that you really want to do. Don't do it for the salary scale. Don't do it because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. Do something that you know you're going
Yeah.
to love.
That's it. Because if you love it and you really enjoy it, or same thing, I suppose, enjoy it and love it,
Yeah,
and you're going to get good at it, like the money will come.
exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly. But sure,
I
look,
think so
listen, you
too.
can't take the money with you in the end, can you? So that's the way I look
No,
at it as well,
that's it.
you know?
And not off topic at all, but do you think, because I know we're talking about like you didn't do this for the money and that kind of thing, but do you think that employers see you or see this as a benefit that you managed to juggle all this and come out successful, or do you think that they saw it as a hindrance of a working mom, studying, working full time?
Mm. I have to be honest, I don't think men, to be honest with you. I really don't. Um, some do, some don't realize how much you juggle in
Yeah.
order to, be in that role.
Hmm.
I remember one interview where I was told that being a mother is not something that you would put on your CV as a quality or qualification or whatever.
Oh wow.
And
That's
it was a woman, by the way.
oh wow.
Yeah.
That is
So
absolutely horrific to
yeah.
hear.
So I needn't tell you. I didn't get that job because I didn't want it, but she got a full-on lecture
No, you're dead right
on the
because
talents that a mother can bring to a job and to a company that you can't learn in any course.
no. No, but
So
for a
yeah,
woman to put down
yeah,
another woman like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
like that would worry me for women who are of a certain age, of they call it childbearing age, who
yeah,
don't have said children, and
yeah,
they go in for interviews
yeah,
and they start judging you for the fact that you don't have them, but you might want them,
yeah.
and it would mean, oh, she's gonna have to go on mat leave, and that's not me, that's any woman.
Yeah, yeah. Now that was a long time ago, but I've never forgotten it. Funny, and doing this with you kind of brought that back
Yeah.
to me. To be
But you know
honest
what?
with you.
It's good that you didn't get it, because why would you
Oh,
want to be
I
working
wouldn't
there?
have taken it, but I didn't
No,
want it.
that's
As
shocking.
soon as I heard that come out of her mouth, I was like, yeah, I cannot work here. There's no way I could, because I wouldn't be able to, if I need to take time off for sick kids. And
Yeah.
these are all the things when you're looking for a company to work for, that you're thinking of, right, I need to find somewhere that is family orientated, that actually
Hmm.
cares about their employees, that will actually, say, well, do you know what, if you need to work from home today because your 4 or 5 year old is sick, that's
Hmm.
fine, and
Yeah.
that taking that pressure off you is unbelievable. The
Yeah.
guilt that you carry, that extra guilt of, oh my god, my kid is sick but I can't be there.
Hmm.
So you're torn, you're absolutely torn with being working Louise or mammy Louise. Which one?
Yeah.
You can't be both at the same time in certain places.
Yeah. Um, Not a good experience for yourself. Well, I would have
No.
thought the opposite. I would have thought that maybe employers would see it as like, oh Jesus, this person is juggling so much, and they've
You
just
think
finished their
that? Yeah,
that
you
it's a
think
good
that.
thing that
Mm,
it shows again like organizational skills, time management, all these good things that you would want in an employee, and
yeah.
I wouldn't see it as a hindrance. But
No.
anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um,
Well, I suppose another thing probably to add to that was I found it hard at times when I was juggling so much to say no.
yeah, I get you. Is it because of the guilt? Because you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
busy doing this, so therefore.
yeah,
And
yeah.
was that
And
just
then you end
mainly
up,
to kids, like family, obviously?
yeah, everything going on in your life.
Mm,
Yeah, just, and then you end up balancing way too much, and that, thank God that realization came to me soon enough, that I had to say, I had to be realistic and go, honestly, I actually can't do this.
Mhm.
It's just not mentally or physically possible, you know, to keep doing this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a big thing, and learning to say no, and a bit of thinking of, look, you know, a bit of self-care, I suppose, in a way, you know.
So could I put that then with boundaries? Like you would kind of, I don't know, like how would you feel about boundaries then? Do you, I know saying no is kind of like setting a boundary.
Um,
Uh,
yes. Well, I
yeah.
suppose, yeah, I did. I had to set boundaries that my personal time with regards my study time, because I didn't have much personal time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But my study time was when I'm at my desk, I need to be left alone. If it's for an hour or 2 hours, like there's weekends when I sat all day Saturday and all day Sunday at this desk trying to get things done, you know, because
Hmm.
the rest of the week was so crazy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a case of, right, well, if I'm at my desk, you know, you need to leave me be. Your father is actually capable of doing things. So, because they were so used to coming to me, you see,
Yeah.
Oksana, that was the thing.
I think
And
that's
they'd
every family.
bypass him. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they walk past him downstairs to come upstairs and ask me, Mom, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, your father's downstairs. Oh, is he? So I
Yeah.
actually, yeah. So that had to be relearned. You know, that was something that had to be relearned. And also, if I got that time head free, space free, I was so much more productive, you know.
Hmm.
And then also another thing had to be as well, they didn't have to go to everything. They didn't have to go to every event.
Yeah.
You could, it doesn't matter if you miss something now and again,
Hmm.
you know, like I had to explain to them that FOMO, you know, fear of missing out,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not actually a real condition, you know. It's not a disease, you know what
Yeah.
I mean. So,
That's it.
but yeah, so that was kind of really, to be honest with you, with regards, you know, the boundaries and that. Now mine are a little bit older. Like you're talking now at this stage, 18, 16, and nearly
Yeah.
13, but they were old enough to understand the load I was carrying, that I needed
Hmm.
this time, you know, so they
Yeah.
weren't over demanding, to be honest with you.
So what would you say then to women who are in a similar situation as you? Any
Oh,
advice for them?
well, to be honest with you, the first thing I would say, and as I said it earlier on, be sure that whatever you choose to do, whether it's to go back to education or go back to work, that you do something you love,
Hmm.
because it's half the battle. It really is. It's half the battle. I myself, I loved the learning content within my degree. I found
Hmm.
it really interesting that I did my own kind of research, my own extra readings and things like that. So that kind of helped. And now from that, I have found a job that I love,
Hmm.
you know, and I have that flexibility, and I now have that balance, that I don't have that urgency in me anymore, that I need to be
Hmm.
split myself in 15 ways so I can be everywhere and be everything to everybody, you
Hmm.
know, because I have that balance now with working from home and working in the office. So, you know, when I get sick of it, I'll go, right, I'm going to the office, good luck. I'm not staying here
Yeah.
today, you know. And I suppose another thing that I would actually recommend is, and I had to learn this again, talk about learning, learn to delegate, learn to
Yeah.
delegate. And the fact that when you're at home so long with kids and like that, you're literally doing everything. And don't get me wrong, I knew no different. I was happy, happy as Larry doing it, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But that things don't have to be done the way you like them done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That other people are capable of doing things. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be 110% perfect, you know. So things have to be let go. So I think you have to be prepared to do that as well. But
Hmm.
delegate is a big, big thing, definitely.
As a woman managing these roles, this is going to be cringy, Louise, but do you consider yourself a role model for others? And if you do, how do you hope to inspire women facing similar challenges?
To be honest with you, no, I don't see myself as a role model, because I see myself as a role model for my children.
Hmm.
I see myself as a role model for, I've only one son. I see myself as a role model for him,
Yeah.
that he sees this woman who was just ma'am for a long time, and who is now Louise again, and who now works, and who now does everything, you know, does all of this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he has seen this gradual change, this me coming back to me, which he didn't
Hmm.
know before, if that makes any sense. um and you know, and also that we have an identity that, you know, we're not just mammies, we're not just women,
Yeah.
But no, I don't see myself any different. I don't see myself as a role model for other women. I'm very happy to advise and tell them my experience and things like that. But you know, inspire. How do I hope to inspire? Well, I suppose, as I said, we're all individuals. Not everyone wants the same thing. Not everyone wants to go back to work. Not everyone wants to go back to
Mm-hmm.
college at this age, you know. But the thing is, going back to college or regaining your career, I suppose the one thing that I have learned, and at this age and at this stage of my life, that I'm not rooted solely in my career
Mm-hmm.
or status of what I do. But what I have gained from this, and excuse the word journey, but it has been a journey
Yeah. Oh yeah, it
with
has.
many bumps, is that I finally see the value in myself. Is, to be
Ah, Louise,
honest,
that's lovely.
yeah, and not only, and I don't even mean that just as a woman, as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I can't explain what doing this degree has been for me personally. I can't actually find the words, but it's been life changing for me. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm not trying to put words into your mouth,
No,
but
no,
just in my opinion, I would say is that like you can do it as long as you
yeah.
put your mind to it. And like, I find a lot of people of a certain generation, like my mum, for example, she'd be in her mid to late 50s now,
Mm,
and it's like she was a stay-at-home mum as well, and
yeah.
that was kind of like a societal construct, I suppose, that was put on women at the time,
Mm.
and it's hard to get out of. Well, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's hard to get out of when you were pigeonholed into something. That it's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like, well, maybe I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look, what if I do, like, what if I go off and do this? And like, sure, what about the kids? And what about this?
Yeah.
And what about the other? And yada, yada, yada. And
Mm.
you just kind of talk your way out of it. But instead, I think you
Absolutely.
should talk yourself
Talk your way
into.
into it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But that's what I
Yeah,
did. I talked myself into this degree, Oxana. I
yeah,
literally left it till the day when I had to put down the deposit, and I was like, will I? And I kept trying to find reasons to say, no, don't be stupid.
yeah,
You can't do this. It's too much. You're not going to
yeah.
be able to handle it. And it, I pushed myself to actually pay that deposit because I knew if I paid that deposit, that was it. I had to do it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I know that sounds probably silly,
No, no,
but
no, 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 not at all.
we are the best at talking ourselves out of things and
Yeah,
talking ourselves down as well,
yeah,
Oksana. That's what
yeah.
that boils down to. You're actually really, depleting your own worth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I find that a lot. And again, because of what I do for work now, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. A lot of recruiters, a lot of HR managers say that so many women will bypass a job because they see one point on it that they're like, oh, I can't do that. Whereas
Exactly.
majority of men, 60% of the job application is like, sure, grand, I can't do that, but I'll figure it out. And they apply and they get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
like, so yeah, I think it's like back yourself and like that's an inspiring thing. Back yourself, talk yourself into it. Just do it, go
Absolutely.
for it. And you know
Yeah.
what? If it doesn't work out, okay, it didn't work out, but you
You
tried,
tried. You
so that
tried.
there's no
And
regrets.
maybe the next thing you try might work. Maybe it
Hmm.
wasn't for you because a lot of people go into adult education as well, like as mature
Hmm.
students, and they realize, wow, this is way too much to juggle all at once, and they
Yeah.
decide not to do it then. And that's very common as well. But at least they tried it.
Do you think that because you studied online, was that something that was beneficial? And
Oh
look,
yeah.
don't be telling us a good answer because you're working with it now.
No,
Genuine,
no,
like a
no. To
genuine
be
answer.
honest with you, that was the attraction. That was the
Okay.
attraction to it, that I could balance the kid with studying from home. Now,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, I would have loved to go into college full time and
Hmm.
relive my youth. Do you know what I mean? Go all to these, what you call them, frat parties. I'm only joking. But you know what I mean? I would have loved the experience of college. I would have loved the social experience and all that. But that's just not what's going to happen at this stage in your life when you're rearing three kids.
Yeah.
So the fact that the degree was online was a huge bonus for me. And
Yeah,
that
you're
was a
not
huge
commuting.
push. No, exactly, exactly. And I'm studying again now. I'm doing a level 8, just a cert now, just a cert. I have my
But yeah, but
degree.
it's oh,
No, but it's in leadership and change management.
okay.
And that's online as well. So
Yeah,
it's like, well, if I miss the class, it's recorded.
yeah.
It's not a big deal. I can catch up, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So it takes that pressure off, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. It's a massive time saver, I find.
Oh yeah.
Um, so why would you want to be sitting in, like, in my head, because when I was doing my postgrad a couple of years ago, I was the same. I was like, why would I want to be commuting to and from college?
Yeah.
Or to from college, I mean, like, from work to college,
Yeah.
back home. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, you're adding on
Yeah.
how many hours to your day, and you just don't have that when you have other things to be juggling. So,
And don't forget that luxury you have of sitting at your desk with your camera on, you have your jumper on top and your jammy bottoms on the bottom, and
yes,
nobody knows any different.
no, that's,
That comfort.
yeah, that was the main attraction. Perfect. So I don't know. Is there anything that you want to add on before we wrap this up? Because I feel like I've been grilling you a little bit, and
Not at all. No, no. Do you know what? It's an important subject that I do think
yes.
needs to be like, when I've spoke to other women, when I'm been doing my degree and they're like, "Oh my God, how are you actually doing
Hmm.
this?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I suppose, make sure you've good support systems. That's a
Yeah.
good a big thing. And people around you who really care about what you're doing and really support you, may not have any knowledge of it, but that doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And I was told once, sure, that's not a real degree that you're doing.
That's so rude. Of
That's dung. That's dung.
course
But
it did.
obviously it didn't let it stop me. As I say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
No, but also it's
It
an
actually
opinion
drove
of
me.
another person.
It drove
Exactly.
me further. And it was a real, like, two fingers. Look what
Yeah.
I did. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
So it
that's
kind of
it.
made it a little bit more, at the end of it all, well, I did it. So actually it
Yeah.
is a real degree and there's the piece of paper to prove it.
But don't they say a lot of the time when a person is judging somebody else, it's based on an insecurity they have themselves. So
Maybe. Yeah,
don't
yeah. Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah,
think about that one.
yeah, and this. Oh, I don't think about it at all. But these things can drive you on as well. Give you a
Hmm.
bit of juice that you might be missing. But the
Yeah.
one thing as well, I suppose to finish it off, that I would say to other mothers or parents in general, that think very hard if this is what you want to do. And as I said, sit down with your family and be brutally honest about how hard this is going to be. And, you know, um,
Hmm.
and especially for women going back to work, I've been reading a lot about this myself. And I think it's important that you understand your worth and you focus on your relevant skills, that you
Hmm.
have that. I worked for years before I had kids and I ran offices and I
Hmm.
did a lot of things that have all come back to me since
Yeah.
I've returned to work. And I go, oh, I know how to do this. I've done this before.
Yeah.
Like, it was 19 years ago, but I know how to do it,
Yeah. It's riding
this
a
kind
bike.
of thing. Exactly. And as I said, like, as we're doing here, speak to other women about your experience. It is a huge transition returning to work or college education.
Hmm.
But for myself personally, I believe it's something that if you really want to do, you won't regret it.
Hmm.
And as I said, there's so many articles out there about preparing you for this transition. So read them, research them, and,
Hmm.
you know, have all your ducks in a line before. And I have to say, the last thing, and I have to get this in, Oksana, if you don't mind, is
Sure.
being a stay at home mother. You have so many skills that you don't even realize you have. You have time management, you have communication, right?
Hmm.
You're dealing with tiny people all the time, right?
So you
Problem
really have to
solving.
simple English this so that,
Oh,
like, they
I'm
can
putting
really
this in, yeah.
understand.
Problem solving,
Yeah.
challenging behavior. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
big
I
one.
am I am the master of challenging behavior, right? I'm
Yeah.
organization skills, and my favorite, negotiation skills. The answer is
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Creativity. It's the end of the week. You don't want to go shopping. You open the freezer and you go, I can make a 3-course dinner out of whatever's left in here, and you do, and they love it. Crisis
Yeah.
management.
Hmm.
They come in from school, their world is falling apart. Oh, Jesus, crisis management meeting, let's go. Event planner, sorry.
Yeah. 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 No, I get
Birthdays,
it.
parties, this, that, and
Yeah.
the other. Leadership skills, mentoring
Oh,
skills. I
yeah.
mean, I could go on and on and on and on. But when you
Yeah.
realize that you have all of these skills, my advice is go out there and kick ass.
And that was Louise O'Gorman giving us her account of the challenges that she faced whilst also being a mum and studying and working all at once. Let's face it, it's not an easy task. she's talked about that, and she was very frank about her experience, but she was also quite frank about the rewards that come with it. So we hope for those who are listening, who are quite in the same position that Louise was in when she was thinking about starting this her own kind of learning journey, we hope it gives you the push to just go for it, talk yourself into it, as we talked about during the discussion, and give yourself that push and give yourself that challenge to just try it and see where it takes you. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next episode.